So for TikTok and Podbean, anybody still watching, I somehow got kicked out of my studio. I don't know why. Oh, we're back live on one stream. So I got kicked out somehow, and my guest, I guess, did as well. So I've sent him a message to come back in. I'm going to send him another link just in case. In case the link he has. And him back. But for anybody who's just joining us, to kill the dead space, and tell what we're talking about. We're about Recovery Dharma. It's a pathway that James practices. He's relatively new to it. It's a relatively new or newer, I guess, pathway. They really centralize a lot of like meditation, and we were just talking about how they hold each other accountability, because they don't have necessarily have sponsorship, like someone that would hold you accountable normally in NA or A. So he's telling us a little bit about just each other accountable. Here he is. I am so sorry. I do not know what's going on today. But can I don't think you have audio again. I think it just worked, whatever you just did. No. Well, for all of our listeners and viewers, I'm so sorry this is happening today. We're having some technical difficulties. I keep having difficulties. Now we can't get his audio working. We'll get it figured out, though.
How about that?
Yes, I did it. Okay, so I was just telling everybody that because everything else didn't go off, so I was just kind of catching everybody up on what we were talking about. We were talking about accountability was the last thing that I heard before I got kicked out.
Shall I continue?
Yes.
Okay. So accountability, aside from the fact that we have community members that are meditating with us and sharing with us every meeting, and sharing is very similar to AA type sharing, basically share your experiences and where you're at with your recovery in the meeting. We have what we call wise mentors, which are people who are basically senior members of the community who have more experience and, with the practice, and, have a willingness to, coach a little bit people who are newer to the group. And so it's a lot like being a mentor in AA, being a
sponsor.
Sponsor, yeah. Sponsor.
Okay, so you do have something similar.
Yeah, we do. It's a support system, just like any other, pretty much.
So if someone listening, feeling stuck, what's like a practice, something they could do tonight, Dharma wise, like something that you would just, like one thing you would, I guess that would be like one thing you would, advice you would give to someone that was just feeling stuck and wanting to try something new?
Well, that's a pretty open-ended question.
Yeah.
I don't know what stuck really means. I mean, if they're stuck trying to
struggling, I guess, like struggling, yeah,
struggling with their sobriety in general.
Yeah, I guess just in general, maybe not sobriety. I don't know. I guess mentally. Let's go with that. Let's go. If someone's struggling mentally in recovery, someone in recovery is struggling mentally, maybe with cravings or triggers. I don't know. Just
Well, one of the things that meditation can do for you is that it can give you what we call equanimity, which is basically a sense of balance or a sense of centering yourself. That's one of the things that's really worked well for me. And that it's very hard to describe this in a 2 minute little snippet, but basically it involves understanding some things about the world and about the way, time works, and about the way your emotions work. And, our feelings are temporal, and they're also very temporary for that reason. What happens to us, what we feel, no matter how great it is, or no matter how bad it is, it's only going to last for a period of time. Sometimes it's very short, sometimes it's a lot longer. But impermanence is something that people in Recovery Dharma accept as it's a certainty. We can actually experience it for ourselves. And that's one of the things that we do in meditation sometimes is, you listen for something while you're meditating. Do you hear something in the background? And you listen. And then whatever, it may pass by. It might be a car going by. So obviously that's an example of impermanence. It's a sound that you hear, it goes by. And the same thing is true of feelings. So, it's a lot of this is just observing things, maybe for the first time, in a more intense and focused way. If you look around you, you actually will find things happening that you've never really paid attention to before. But they do confirm that you can sort of relax a little bit in life and realize that, these things have been happening all around me for my whole life. And they're going to continue happening after I'm gone. So a lot of these things I don't need to worry about or pay attention to, but it's just sort of reassuring to know that they're going to pass by. And if it's a craving, that's also going to pass by. If you can just calm yourself down and wait until the craving passes, and it will, if you just can stay calm enough and equanimous enough. That's what we call it, is being equanimous. It's being balanced and understanding the way things are moving around you. It'll pass. You'll be okay. You've done it before. You'll do it again. You can also do it now.
So I know at your meeting it was a little bit abnormal because I was speaking, but you guys do have like a book that you read passages out of. Is it similar to AA passages, or no, not at all?
No, it's a completely different book. As I mentioned before, it's written by members of the community. So, yeah, I mean, how to describe? Do you want me to describe the book in some way? Is that
or just like the types of readings? Like I don't know. Yeah, just.
Well, the book it's aimed at people who are new to Recovery Dharma. So it's not like the top level Buddhist study. It's aimed at people who are beginning. And so it has a natural introduction to Buddhism at the very beginning. And these are things that we read, not just because we often have new people or people who've never been to a Recovery Dharma meeting. We want them to get a little bit of a grounding. We don't read that every day, every meeting. So, even if there's someone new there, the content about, what is a Sangha, which is also part of it, which is, an addition to the original introduction in the book. There's a section in the back that describes, the function of a Sangha and why it's so important. It's considered one of the three jewels of the practice of Buddhism in general. Is the three jewels are the Buddha and the Sangha and the Dharma, which is the Dharma part of Recovery Dharma, is the actual scriptures that were taken from the Buddha's teachings. Buddha was a real human being, born around 500 BC, so he well predates Christ. Around the time of the ancient Greek and ancient Roman civilizations. So anyway, the Dharma is a bunch of scriptures, thousands and thousands and thousands of pages that have been reduced to, concise material that can be read and understood by ordinary people, ordinary worshipers. In this case, it's a significantly simplified version that's put into this book. It's a summary of the teachings of the Buddha, the original teachings of the Buddha, to be distinguished from the teachings of Buddhist people who were in monasteries and things like that, which can be very different, because there are actually three different kinds of Buddhism, which are all ancient in origin, but they are somewhat different in the way they're practiced, and they have somewhat different belief systems. There are some that actually are religious, and they have a whole afterlife piece, and that's not what we do in Recovery Dharma.
So I just had a question, and I just completely. Oh, I know. You guys said that you don't like necessarily practice like with a higher power, like you guys don't push a higher power. So what role then does the Buddha play?
Well, the Buddha is a man, and
I mean,
he is a man, so he is a revered individual, because what he did, I mean, I could tell you a little bit about the story of the Buddha historically, and that may be more myth than reality, but there is a story about him. But the Buddha is, in this form, it's called Theravada Buddhism, which is about the original teachings. He's a human being, and he's a teacher. He spent his life learning what the right way to live was, and how to interpret a type of behavior that is right, and what the benefits of following that path are. And so the higher power issue it's left up to anybody who's practicing to figure out what their higher power is. I mean, you can study Recovery Dharma and be a confirmed Christian, and we have many people just like that studying at Recovery Dharma. And there are a lot of people who are, who've been going to AA for, 15, 20 years, who come to Recovery Dharma meetings because they get something else from Recovery Dharma that they don't get from AA or NA or Smart Recovery or anywhere else. There is something special about Recovery Dharma as a practice. And it's funny because a lot of people who are, devout Christians, and they are, stalwart followers of AA, will come in and say, I get something spiritual from Recovery Dharma that I don't get anywhere else. And it's kind of weird, because normally when we think of spirituality, we think of God and angels and things like that. We don't think of, spirituality in any other way except associated to a higher power. So I guess you could say that's the higher power, is the sense of spiritual awakening or understanding that you get from it, which, some people say, it's you're awakening your own spirit, but that doesn't mean, you're the higher power. It means your brain is working at a higher level.
so the Buddha is less like a higher power, more like a teacher, or
He's not, he's not considered the higher power.
Right.
Not in this, I mean, he's deified in the most recent version of, which is still ancient, of Buddhism. And that's the one with the afterlife and everything. But
that's probably where I was getting, like, because when I think of Buddha, that's kind of how I think, like a deity or a god, and so I was kind of.
Yeah, and I think that's very typical for people in the West who aren't familiar with Buddhism to begin with. They figure, people are sort of worshiping this guy. And yeah, some people in Buddhism are, but not all of them, and certainly not Theravada Buddhists. They're firmly rooted in the real world, the historical world, the historical person. He was a really, really smart guy. He was actually born into a royal family. I'll just give you a quick snippet of where he came from. He was born into a royal family in Nepal, which is not, back then it was not called Nepal, obviously, but where Nepal is now located. And at about the age of 30, after having gotten married and having his first child, he supposedly took a ride in a chariot outside the palace, which gave him for the first time the opportunity to see people who were sick and who were unhappy and poor and starving and all these various forms of suffering, which he never experienced because he had been kept within the palace for his entire life. And his parents had expressly sort of sequestered him, so he never saw anything bad. I mean, he was rich. He had anything he ever wanted. He got to pick his wife, and the point is that when he went out and understood that, the world is suffering, he was not. It drove him to explore, what is this world all about? And he spent a lot of time as an ascetic, basically meaning that he meditated and starved himself and, slowed his breath down to the point in meditation where, he was barely breathing, and experimented with all the aspects of existence from one extreme to the other is basically what it came down to in order to try to discover what was going to get him to the next level of understanding things in life. So he went from being very fabulously wealthy and happy and just carefree to depriving himself of every human want and need, pretty much, just enough to keep him alive.
That's what I was going to say. It's really interesting because I thought like Buddhists are monks, right? And they're very like minimal, like that, like they don't have hardly any creature comforts. And for him to be born rich, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, then again, people who are monks are very devoted specifically, but they're not starving themselves unless they're doing it for a specific reason, like some sort of a cause that they're, trying to highlight, like, violence or war or whatever. They do that sometimes. But the Buddha found what he called the middle path, which is between this extreme of fantastic wealth and enormous suffering. So the middle path is equanimity. It's just sort of in the middle. It's the balance of life where you're not too extreme one way or the other in the way that you live. And, you're compassionate and you're empathic toward other people. And there's a lot more that goes to it, but it's a balance in life. And, it works for me. That's all I can tell you. It really works for me.
And a lot of other people, I didn't realize, I had never heard of Recovery Dharma before. But after we actually met randomly, I was doing a test on my audio in Podbean, and he just popped in, and we just talking. And once you told me about Recovery Dharma, and I actually looked into it, you guys have huge summits every year, like big,
Yeah.
like a lot of people practice this. Like for me to have never heard of it before, it's, it works. Like it's not something that you guys are just making up. Like it's actually something that a lot of people follow.
Yeah, there are literally hundreds of meetings. Well, there are actually thousands of meetings around the world for Recovery Dharma. And we have people coming to my meetings who are from Germany and Australia and any place on the planet, because people do practice this, and almost all of them are practicing because of addiction, but not always to substances. It can be applied to sex addiction. It can apply to gambling addiction. Basically, pretty much anything that is repetitive and that is harmful to the person who's taking that sort of activity on a regular basis. You can use Recovery Dharma because it's not religious, it's not specific, it's about the things that you're suffering from, the things that are making your life more difficult. If it's a repetitive kind of situation where you are hurting yourself rather than doing yourself good, or just not living ethically, or whatever it might be, it's a way to bring yourself back to your center as the person, the pure person, shall we say, that you were when you were younger, before you became corrupted by your life in society, and maybe because of your environment as a child, you were corrupted. And I know that was one of the things that happened to you in your story, was you were born into a family where drug use was it was everywhere, and you
normal,
had to escape it. So yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing that would be helped by finding equanimity for yourself. And I know you're doing fine in your recovery, and God bless you for that. And that's an awesome accomplishment on your part. But anyway, that's what Recovery Dharma is for. It's not just for one sort of ailment in particular. It's for a wide range of ailments. Right. Sorry.
No, that's I was just saying, that's what I found really neat about it, is that it's not, NA is for narcotics and AA is for alcohol, and I know some other ones do kind of not, but that's kind of like, I don't know, it spoke to me because that's kind of what my platform is. Like I want it to be, addicts and alcoholics and of all pathways, and just everybody, what professionals in the field, just anybody to be welcome here. And that's kind of what put me in mind of when I first read about Dharma, and how you guys just, it's very open. Like it's it's like instead of like a program that you have to live by, it's like just a outline or a structure, that's like, this is the way you're supposed to live and the right things to do, but not, I don't know, not set in stone, I guess is.
Yeah, it's not restrictive. The path, what we basically say in Recovery Dharma is your path is your own. You can be part of a sangha or, go to meetings, sporadically or whatever you want to. You don't have to pay any dues or anything like that, unless the location where you're going to a meeting has some sort of a policy. But every sangha has its own policies toward that. But yeah, it's you make of it what you want to. Use how much of it you want to. It's a therapy. It's not a faith. It's just something that you do for yourself. And obviously, it can have a tremendously positive and beneficial effect to those around you. Because if you're a mess in addiction, if you can get out of that addiction and control it, or just abstain completely, just renounce it completely for the rest of your life, everybody's going to be better off. Everybody in the world is going to be better off. Not just the people that you know and the people that you love, but by your actions. In your work or in your life in general, you're going to be a better person. And that's really the story about Recovery Dharma. It's just going to make you a better person if you are sincere about practicing it.
I was really, thank you we have 10 minutes left and I'm running out of stuff to ask you. If you have anything else you want to add, now's your time. If not, we'll go ahead and close this episode out. My internet is starting to act funny again. So
Okay.
I don't want to get us kicked off. I don't want to have three seconds to this episode.
Yeah, we can cut it short. You're the host, and I will do whatever you feel comfortable with.
We're only 9 minutes by the time we say goodbye and all of that. We should be right pretty close. But is there anything else you want to add? Anything you want to leave with?
Well, I'd just like to leave people with one other thing, and it has nothing to do with Recovery Dharma. It has to do with the guy that you see in front of you on the screen here. The guy named James spent 35 years as an alcoholic. And it was a progressive disease. It very nearly cost me my only marriage with the woman I adore. And that's a good reason to get sober. I'm very glad that I am sober. I just passed 6 months in this recovery, 100% sober, and I'm feeling great. And I wish for all of you the same feeling and the same healing. And I appreciate the opportunity to chat again with you, Leanna, and to share this message with your viewers.
Thank you. Thank you so much, James, for being here. With that, we'll take it in. There's no other questions. I think when we got kicked off, I think maybe people didn't join back on, but it'll be recorded and it'll be uploaded so people get to see us anyway. And thank you so much for bearing with me. You've been an incredible sport. I've had immense difficulties. Somebody said, congratulations, 6 months is a big deal. I guess we do have people watching. So yeah. So thank you so much for being here. And they are right. A minute is a big deal. So congratulations to you. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you everybody for watching today. And we should be live next Friday at 6, hopefully, if I can get all my issues worked out for a close episode. Thanks, guys. Thanks, James.
Thank you, Leanna.